Thank you, Isaac Fambo, for that. Let's move on. And President William Ruto has assured Kenyans that the recommendations by the bipartisan dialogue team will be implemented. Speaking in Nairobi, the head of state noted that all the recommendations made by the dialogue team are practical and good for the country. This even as opinion by leaders from Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja coalitions on the said recommendations differ heavily. George Maringa reports.
It is a cause that from the start was viewed as a solution to the famous maandamano championed by the opposition. But even before the report was out, concerns from a section of leaders were evident.
I have a great reservation about the ongoing dialogue.
Okay.
Because first of all, I don't believe it's honest. Listening to the leaders of opposition, you can clearly tell there is nothing that we are doing there. It is waste of public time, it is waste of public resources, if at all, including that they are taking. One, because the agenda, if you look at them, one is around last year's elections. Which last year's election?
I am saying I'm totally uncomfortable. Any serious talks would not take more than 30 days. I've been involved in talks in this country. Why are we prioritizing constitutional amendment like that was the crisis? The crisis we have up to now is cost of living. It is issues of rule of law, like that demolition.
Indeed, the deadline was pushed a couple of times, and finally the dialogue committee, NADCO, which had until November 26th, released its report. To the head of state, the report is quote-unquote good for the country.
I want to congratulate all the teams that were involved in the dialogue process. They have come up with recommendations. I have seen the recommendations. They are in good stead. All the recommendations they have made, they are practical. We are going to work on those recommendations to reduce in areas they have recommended, to do whatever they have recommended in Parliament. Those that belong to the executive, I will make sure that we execute without any delay.
But to some of his lieutenants, well, a great deal of disappointment.
Nimesoma katika hiyo report, most of the things for them to be actualized will need a referendum. Kenyans cannot afford another time of contest. Kenyans can only afford time to work because our economy needs work.
Co-chair of NADCO, Kimani Ichung'wah, believes he has done justice to his terms of reference.
What we said, we have made various recommendations, including on the very sensitive subjects of elections, how we manage our elections, how we manage our economy, and even on the cost of living. And we have made far-reaching recommendations on all the subjects that are before us.
2022 presidential running mate and NARC Kenya party leader Martha Karua took to X, formerly Twitter, to express her disappointment, saying the NADCO report should be rejected. On the other hand, a great deal of Azimio la Umoja MPs want their chief Raila Odinga to disassociate himself from the report.
Hiyo report imetoka haina way forward yoyote ya cost of living. Wananchi wetu wanaendelea kuumia. Mheshimiwa Raila, usikubali hiyo maneno. Usikubali kabisa, usikubali. Hivyo ndio wewe ulienda kukaa na ile serikali nyingine wakakuchafulia jini.
After weeks, which turned into 4 months for a process that has costed the taxpayer hundreds of millions of shillings, eyes will be on how President William Ruto and his political nemesis Raila Odinga chart the way forward with a threat to go back to the streets in the offing by Azimio leadership. Who will blink first? George Maringa, TV 47, Nairobi.